you one email that I sent to them saying that you had an EMS, you had a squad and fire truck line out, that you were working on the air evac, and that I asked them to reach out to you. I gave them your cell number and your email address.
Now this year it'd be the same week.
I'm pretty sure.
My phone was lost for a while.
Oh.
Okay.
They told me you call and I
I gotta get it changed.
Oh,
Somehow. I mean, I know it's 3 months.
correspondence between you.
I don't think you even remember.
And I told
You wanna go home, cut grass, don't you?
no,
No.
Ken told me about it the other day. I'm not going to climb on that damn thing till it's deep.
All right, we'll start off today's safety committee with, let's start tonight with police. Chief Mason? Yeah.
You always start.
As far as on my agenda, you'll see the March statistic for 2015. Just down slightly from last year on calls for servants and offense reports. Arrests are down a little bit. Accidents were up a little bit. Citations were up quite a few, which is nice because we're trying to impress upon the officers that we could do better in our citations and maybe help make the streets a little bit safer. So they are responding positively, and so you can see it went from 97 or 75 in 2013 to 97 and 14 and 124 this month. So that's a good increase. Our alarms are about on the high average there, 30 total, 6 residential, 24 commercial. But I did skip over the overtime usage.
Chief,
We're at
Can I
7.
just ask,
Yes.
do they get charged, these alarms, do they get charged, or where
Most
do
of
they
them
go
do. If they're multiple
to?
offenders,
Yeah, okay.
right, Chief?
We have a forgiveness policy for a certain set amount, and after that, then they will be charged.
Okay.
But also, if they call us before we respond, say, "Oh, I set that off. I just walked in. It was
Oh,
an
okay.
accident,"
All right.
we'll forgive that. So it's not a set in stone.
Now, what's
They'll get
the fee or the fine?
$25 or $50 it starts at. I don't really remember.
Alright.
It's not a huge number. We're not
No.
making a lot of money, and we're not out to kill anybody's business.
Yeah.
But
I just
without
wondered.
this type of an ordinance, there's no teeth to making them, especially if they have a alarm system
Yeah.
that needs some repair, some attention, and they're not doing anything to fix it. But our officers aren't responding to the same place every day just because the business chooses or does or fails to update their system and make it better.
Okay.
But on our overtime usage, we're at 7,000 for the year. You see the year to date is at 27,234. That's actually almost $3,000 less than we were last year at this time, so that's good news. The new CAD stations were installed in the comm center last week. They were purchased by the county for the 911 agreement that we have with them, as acting as their backup. There are more new things. The terminal server and the Sally router have been partly set up and installed by their IT department, which is another thing that's saving the city money by having the county IT department perform the work, because this is all part of our backup 911 center operations. The CLIA on-site was last week. They were very thorough. We had a nice week of work. We had an exit interview with the mayor on Wednesday before they left, or was it Thursday? Thursday before they left, and they told us that they will be recommending the police department for reaccreditation without any stipulations. So the next step is a hearing. It'll be in front of the commissioners on July 24th in Colorado Springs at the Summer CLIA Conference.
Based on what the assessors had shared with me during that exit interview, I came away feeling as though their review of the department was very clean. I'm probably not going to describe this accurately, Chief, so fill in the blanks where I'm missing. But the the city could have, in essence, opted out of up to 20% of the 400 and some different aspects that they review. And I think, what did they say? Did they say we only opted out of 12%? And in a lot of cases, it was because it just simply didn't apply to an agency like ours?
There are 484 total standards. We met 371 of those standards. That leaves a remainder of 113. The 113, there are quite a few. They're what they call 20% standards. You can opt into or select to keep them in the 20% of the standards that apply to your department. Out of those whole numbers, we only elected out of 10, which keeps us well within the 20% number. So we're more than meeting what is required as far as the standards go. We could elect up to 20% not to do, but of that, we do a pretty good job. And we will continue to work on this, and probably as we get to the next accreditation, there's a couple more that this should be fairly simple for us to come into compliance with to even increase that number. And that's what they look for you to do. CLIA wants you to be progressive. They don't want you to fall into a stale pattern of they're not trying to accomplish more or make your department better. So there's a few more we're going to take a look at and try and come into compliance with for the next time around, which will be 2018 will be our next reaccreditation inspection. So we have 3 years to work on that. The only last thing, anything else, sir?
No, that's fine.
To explain where you were
Yep,
headed.
thank you.
The only other thing I'd like to say is at the council meeting, we had citizens approach us in regards to traffic on Blue Jay Road. I have our day shift supervisor instructed to do directed patrols. Has met with is it Bachman?
Mr. Bob.
That came and has met with her and discussed the situation with her. They're over there dedicating some time for traffic in that area on the weekends during the times that she pointed out she thought were troublesome. So we should be seen over there in the coming weeks. We're going to do it for a few weeks and then take a look at the stats and see what they produce. As soon as Saturday's over with, we don't need the message board any longer. We're going to put that out there and have that there as a speed measuring device to try and warn people to slow down and keep it there for a while. Then we'll move it to wherever else we see we're having issues. We're try and keep that busy all summer to try and slow people down. Because people in the summertime seem to be in a lot bigger hurry, and accidents go up, especially the serious ones.
Since they came in and spoke at that council meeting, I from time to time do drive down Blue Jay Road all the way down to 2nd Street. Since they came to that last council meeting last week, I've personally seen 2 separate incidents where Heath PD car had someone pulled over. I can only assume for what, but I have seen that presence that you're talking about.
So we're going to be there and be watching the area as closely as we can when calls permit us to.
What about the pull-off areas? What about the pull-off areas that she suggested to put them to use?
I don't know. Sergeant Ring will be in charge of that. So where
Okay.
they're sitting, what they're doing, he's already had the conversation with her, and was told to seek out the neighbor and see where the places are. So I'm assuming that they are using those places or maybe someplace better. But,
Yeah.
that he's over there and he's in charge of that.
I heard a good comment over the weekend. They said the last several months they've seen more police cars on the road than they ever have. I said, I think that's because the chief changed. They said you can always find a patrolman going someplace.
Well, like I said, I've encouraged them and gotten the sergeants on board to do better in our traffic enforcement. Maybe hopefully when we get through here, we're through the first quarter, I'll run some quarter stats and see how we are to last year. But the citations in this month alone are very encouraging. So it's, you know, you don't want to write citations as many as you can. We don't want to have that kind of reputation, but still, we don't write a whole lot of citations for amount of traffic flow that we have here, and generally you want to make steps to get voluntary compliance to the law. So if you write a few tickets in an area, people see you're there, it stays fresh in their mind, and they'll slow down.
And that's contrary to the opinion that she shared last Monday, and what I think is sometimes prevailing in the community. We don't make a ton of money off of writing a speeding ticket. We make a pittance compared to the expense of actually going through the process of doing it. So it's not about money.
County makes the money.
County courts, right?
The court system.
And that's wrong. I don't care.
Well, they have their own costs and expenses, so I don't know exactly what it is, but they have a very large contingent of clerks there, and they have.
We'd like to use our court system too.
Their
Your option is the mayor's court, but that's not.
Yeah.
Exactly, and you're paying for that operation. You're paying for all their bills, and so they get that rather than a stipend that you would have to pay to the court annually. They just, take a bigger bite, and when they run out of money, they just make the prices a little bit higher on the tickets. So, I mean,
The state gets a pretty good chunk too on every
state
ticket.
gets a bit, yes.
Can
as
the
well.
city put a surcharge on a ticket, pass through economics,
Every
and,
ticket is written.
actually,
No,
there's nothing you can do about it?
the limits are set, right?
Limits
Do
are
like
established
Bryce.
by law.
I'm sorry,
Do like Bryce did, they made all their traffic offenses civil offenses. People are getting $2,500 tickets in Bryce.
Yeah, see, that's
Holy
rather extreme, isn't
cow.
it? So,
Wow.
They violated an
the,
ordinance.
Where's this at?
Bryce.
right.
Bryce Road,
They're at 256.
Oh, okay.
There's actually a city called Bryce.
Yeah, there's a little
Bryce
village
Road
or
was
about
that was in
burg of
You
some
mean,
sort.
you
Couple
mean
dozen
Bryce
people.
Road over in Columbus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I broke my neck in that place.
I hear too that, what's that town right beside Williamsburg here on this side,
Tuscaloosa?
Kirkersville.
no, between Kirkersville and.
Etna,
Yeah.
Etna.
What's that bigger place there?
Pickerington?
Hannah.
Pickerington. Yeah, they're having, I guess.
Good guess.
Let's just throw them all out there. Go for it.
Pickerington there, and they said that they've got 2 or 3 officers over there, I guess there was a contest on how many tickets they could write.
well, that's not a bad thing as long as there isn't any prize guaranteed to them at the end. If they want to have a personal competition, and as long as it stays within reason, I don't see how the competition can hurt anything. But the officers don't get any part of the ticket money, so it's not like it's not like Georgia where they can pull you over and you can pay your fine right there. You gotta go through the court. So
Could be in Buckeye Lake where the new chief has referred to himself as Boss Hog. Somewhere. He did.
Really?
but I think the only, I don't know if they run our mayor's court or not. There's only a few left. And that's why they run mayor's courts, so that they can collect the fine and skip what the county does. Now, the state only gets a part of the fine if they're charged under state code. If they're charged under the city code, then we get our amount. I think if we charge somebody under the state code, we don't get any money back from that.
Wow.
Because we're using the state code and it all goes to them rather than the city code, and I think that's how they channel the money back. But the brunt of it, the most of it goes to the operation of the court systems, and you have, 2 judges and a couple of stand-ins, and then they do have a significant amount of overhead, and so things aren't being made any easier on the courts either, because they generally get hit just as hard as we do at the police department by unfunded mandates come down through the state when they change and they want this done and that done. The court system takes the brunt of it. The other thing that they do provide for us is we don't have to buy our citation forms. They provide those, and they've discussed somewhere down the line that they're probably gonna have the municipalities all buy their own citations and skip that cost. But at this point, they're paid for. It's not a huge cost, but it's just something that they do provide. So that's part of the money that they're collecting as well. So going on with the CLIA, there's any other questions on
I'm
those?
good to leave. When you're done.
Okay. The last thing I have is a legislative request, and this kind of, as you'll see, it's $2,085 to go from communications minor equipment to police travel to pay for our hotel rooms in Colorado Springs for the accreditation team. It has, was money that was earmarked for new CAD stations, but Lincoln County 911 picked up the cost for that. So it's not new money for the police department's budget. It is something that's redirected. And the cost for that is we chose this year to have the conference in Colorado Springs. Generally, it's much closer. It's within driving distance for us, and we don't have to have the cost of the flights. So,
How many
with
we going?
or it'd be 5 of us.
5 of them. Okay.
And generally, I mean, it's been tradition for us to send as many of the accreditation team as we can. As a reward for the hard work that they've done over the 3 years of the accreditation.
How many days is it?
It's actually 5 nights.
5 nights?
We stay in 5 nights.
That's a,
Arrive on a Tuesday evening, we'll leave Sunday.
that's a good price there. $2,085.
$2,085.
It's round trips for 5 folks.
And your hotel,
No, that's just the flights.
that's just the flight.
That's just the flights.
Okay.
They're $500 and some a piece. And I tried to get us out of the taxes for them, but apparently the city's not exempt from the taxes because they're federal taxes on the flights. So I couldn't get forgiveness for that. Like I said, it's an unexpected expense because generally we don't have to fly. Or wait a minute, this is the hotel money. Because I got the flights were more, and I took that out of the travel line item that I budgeted for at the beginning of the year. It was just easier to get this $2,085 for the hotel rooms out of that this direction. But it was one or the other that had to come out from this. That's a communications line item being put into a police line item to pay for it.
Anybody have any questions about it?
Did you have other, like, meals, are they being covered some other way?
Meals, generally speaking, if it comes out of our pocket, we'll be reimbursed out of the travel and lodging fund. There's still a little bit of money left in there, just was not going to be that $2,085 left available for us. But meals generally, maybe on the days of travel, but CALIA tends to provide a lot of meals. There's hospitality. So many times my meal expenses are very minimal from attending these conferences. They have something for you to do every night. Generally, there's a host committee that's there at the conference, and they provide hospitality every evening. And generally, there's a dinner there with drinks and some entertainment. So your cost for that very minimal. And sometimes they provide lunches. And the lunches are, if they charge, it's very inexpensive. So I don't foresee a whole bunch of money on that. But my wife's going with me, and I'll be paying for her to attend with that. So I'm going to make her pay for some of the meals. Because I'm sure she'll be picking the restaurant that she wants to go to.
Anybody have any questions about that item for the chief? Anybody? Doug, Mayor?
Just that, you know, it's money that we had budgeted to spend on this equipment since we were able to meet with the county 911 and get them to pick up the cost of it, which by agreement they should have. It freed up this money for this expense.
The 911 agreement was made a long time ago. The mayor and I had a meeting with them a few weeks ago in regards to this situation, as that the amendment probably should be updated. But as they were in the process in the last few years of building their new 911 center over there, they kind of forgot about us over here. So we didn't get included in a lot of that. And I couldn't get anything from them. I purchased a server and a terminal server, both out of city Heath funds, because we couldn't wait any longer for them to replace the equipment. It was getting to the point. I know you all know Windows XP went away. You had to replace all those. Server 2003 was another operating system that went away when they dropped Windows XP. Our servers were running 2003, so we had to replace and update. We couldn't wait on them any longer. So we'll be in the mayor will be in negotiations, and I'll be assisting with them on a new agreement to see, and maybe we can recoup some of what we've already spent.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean it's.
Along with two questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, since they mentioned that, if Newark does away with their dispatch and it goes to 911 center, and we are the backup, if the 911 center goes down, then not only will it be their fire, but police have to be dispatched on that. Do we have the capability even backing up all, I mean,
Yes.
you know, I mean,
Here's in essence, here's how the process works. We have in our dispatch room right now 2 workstations. Sometimes they're manned by 2 people, sometimes they're staffed by 2 people, sometimes they're staffed by 1. If we had a situation like that, we'd probably have to bring somebody in. It'd get pretty busy. But what would be happening at the same time would be the county would be bringing their staff here. And there is and will be 2 additional locations where additional workstations could be brought up. Now, their idea right now, I think, from a conversation that we had in this meeting, their idea right now is to perhaps maybe get laptops that they could bring with them, plug in, fire them up. Now we would have 4 dispatchers working out of this location, handling everything. Plus, the sheriff's office, I don't know if it's fully operational right now, but the sheriff's office also has this communications mobile command center, which I think also could augment communications as well. We had a didn't we,
They
have,
can
we had that
actually
down here for was that for a drill that we ran?
We ran a drill not too long ago.
Yeah.
They're in the process of still updating theirs, but their command center should be able to staff 2 more dispatcher positions. So in essence, when it goes down, we have 6 people with phones and radios to go to work with.
Now, right now, what's the 911 center got? 9?
On duty?
Yeah. Not that
4.
many.
4
Okay.
for fire,
4.
and 2 for the sheriff.
Gosh. I can't honestly tell you.
I think it's
was gonna
4
say
for the fire and
I
2 for the
thought
sheriff.
5 was the max. Right now that they were running.
Well, the talk is if the deal with Newark, the merger with Newark goes through, they'll add another law enforcement dispatcher with the sheriff's side. So they could have 7 total working at any given time over there. I think it's 4 fire side and 2 police right now, with a
Call tape.
supervisor on duty who can step in. So what they would do is if they're having issues, they would immediately start shipping personnel out our way to fill these vacant positions, get their command center fired up and get it over here. We have the technology to dispatch for the fire and the police in Licking County. We have the Marks capability in there, so we can talk to the Newark police, we can talk to Pataskala police or whoever we need to, Granville, Hebron's jumping on the Marks. So, and that's another issue that is going to come across here in the next few months. I'll be bringing in and talking to the committee about is the fact that the police department needs to go on full Marks to be with our 2 largest backup agencies that we interact the most with Newark and the sheriff's office going. Pataskala's already there. The folks that are south of us are making the move and they're going as well. So it just doesn't make any sense for us to not join Marks fully and pay the full prices. And I told you it's going to be about $12,000 at current cost in user fees for Marks. But October, we pay our last payment on the purchase, lease, buy for our in-car computers. After that, then that fund, the law enforcement trust fund, we could use that to begin paying Marks fees in 2016. And it's a move that we really need to consider, either funding it through that or some other method. Those fees and fines, we make money from the auctions of the cars and generally make enough
Goes
each
in the
year
And
to pay that.
what we're paying each year right now is actually more than what those Marks license fees would be, right?
I'm sorry,
Aren't we-
you lost me.
Okay, like for the mobile, the last payment that we make, is that like 18,000 that we're paying each year, something like that?
Yeah.
So that would be more than what we would pay for the Marks licensing, right?
Yes, for the Marks user fees.
Yeah, user fees, yeah.
Yes, that it would be, $6,000 more. So we generally make enough in that fund to support it. I see that as a short-term solution to that funding. So we can do that for a while, but it's not something we want to continue to do every year. Some year it needs to be part of the communications budget, and there will be some things to discuss with the county in the future with how they're doing things and the changes that they're making as far as the monies that they may begin to collect from their users. At this point, Newark is the only city, village, or entity that pays any money to the 911 center for their dispatching services. And that was agreed on a long time ago when 911 center used to be at the Newark Fire Department. And when Newark Fire said we no longer had that ability, the 911 center had to go on their own, they agreed to pay them a certain amount every year for dispatching Newark Fire. So there's many things on the horizon that may change that. There's also legislation pending to maybe reduce or even do away with user fees for Marks. So that's been on the road for a while. So hopefully that'll happen. That's something for future consideration that we do need to discuss.
You've got a lot of knowledge in this, mark system, communication system. How long you gonna be chief?
Not that long.
Well, I
We got
think
about a
this
year
should
left.
be, some strong point in selecting a new chief, somebody that can handle communications.
Chief Mason has, through background or hobby or whatever, a pretty thorough understanding of computers and software applications and this type of thing. I would venture a guess that we would probably be pretty challenged in finding a chief to replace him that will have as strong a background or knowledge of things like that as Chief Mason does.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of scary when you think about it.
Don't say anything, Mark.
Okay.
You're dying.
Excuse me while I puke.
I'd just like to say that, after I retire, I will be available on an hourly basis. Consulting or contracting that the city may need to do to find out where everything is actually located here. But
You're not gonna tell anybody before you leave, so that's an option.
I've been trying to tell them whether they listen or not. It's just certain things that you really develop a sense for after. I've worked through so many problems over the years through, derecho storms and ice storms and just in encountering all these hardware and technical problems that I've paid attention to those people we've called to come and fix it. So next time I didn't have to call them, I could do it myself.
It's like
I've
the Air
learned
Force-
as much as I could.
It's like the Air Force place back when the commander, he was talking to all levels of supervision out there. He said, what the hell we gonna do, guys, when Wally leaves, Wally Horton? Because Wally run that place. It took a while, it was a shock, but they made it. But you have to plan for things like that.
I'm sure they'll be fine. I have months left, and I will be giving them as much as I can to the sergeants so that they know how to take care of things. And I've promised them all that, you know, I won't get a cell phone probably. I'll still have the landline at the house. They can call me a message.
You don't have a cell phone?
I won't when I leave here. That's a goal for retirement. I don't want one.
When you say you're gonna go 100% more solar, is that going to be, are you gonna do away with?
That's fire.
That's on fire.
Any kind of a redundant system, or is it gonna be solely marks? Like the sheriff's department currently did away with all their VHF stuff and they're solely marks.
No, we'll be redundant. We're gonna have backups.
Okay.
We'll be keeping the City 800 system as a backup. I've actually talked to the county, trying to convince them that it's a viable backup. So that if they get everybody on 800 and get rid of VHF stuff and just leave that as a third redundancy, that, you know, the City 800 system could be a viable backup if the marks goes down. Talking them into, you know, hey, maybe a couple tower locations added onto our system would be a good trade-off for the use of it as a backup. But I mean, it's silly to get rid of a system that's up and running and working. But what the sheriffs did, they just didn't put VHF radios in their new cars. They took them out. So the system still exists in their consoles for their dispatchers, but the officers only have availability of the mark system in their car and on their persons, where my officers are going to retain all of that technology because it's up, it's running, doesn't cost anything, and it's, you know, one system goes down. You've learned as well as I have. Yeah, I gotta have something to fall back on because during duration, cell phones, nothing worked.
Barney, you had a kid?
A kid.
Why should you?
That's a good one. You touched on mayor's courts earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You touched on mayor's courts.
Yes.
I don't know if everybody's aware, but there's only 2 states in the United States that have mayor's courts. One's Louisiana, the other's Ohio. And Ohio, the abuse that exists. Anybody that wants, I'm sure the chief has heard a lot of it, but there's places that get 20 times from their traffic court, their mayor's court, what they do from property taxes. There's places where 90% of their city budget comes from traffic fines.
Gee.
Lindale was hanging rock.
That one place up near Cleveland,
Lindale.
one of the Cleveland suburbs.
Well, around here is New Rome was the one that ended up getting so much trouble. There's been some legislation in past years to make changes to mayor's court because before it was just if you were mayor, you could have the seat and make the decision. And that's not the case any longer. The mayors have to do some significant training and stuff and get certified to run that. So many locations like Granville, they hire a magistrate. For example, John Berryhill is the magistrate for Granville, Kurgersville, all these places that run them. The mayors generally don't sit them anymore. They have a magistrate, a lawyer, someone with legal training and background that comes in and runs those for them. And that made a big difference in that because it's now you've got someone who you're bringing in from the outside and paying the
St.
money.
Louisville
It
still
was-
operate there.
I do not know.
John Berryhill is still the, last I heard was still the magistrate for them.
I know the Ohio Municipal League, their annual conferences, they have breakout session. At least I've seen it every year. They have a breakout session dealing with mayor's court, probably to talk about any changes to
They're a big
the
advocate.
regulation of those and that kind of thing.
And that was a step in, a tiny step in the right direction, but it's still, the abuses. Anybody that wants to know, I can send you, I went through the archive of the dispatch. And it's amazing at what's went on for so long, years and years, decades. And, I just hate to see any more than what there is. I think there's 300 and some mayor's courts in the state of Ohio.
Is that right?
that some of the abuses, Waverly was one of them. They were taking DUI cases and reducing them down as long as you paid so much into a law enforcement
Slush
fund. Athens County, there's there's just all kinds of abuses everywhere. But that's,
We don't need to get into that.
there's a good reason that there's three branches of government, and I don't think that in Ohio or anyplace else, that the executive branch should be administering the judicial branch, and that's what it's doing. And the other thing I had was a question for the chief. Was there, well, there was, 33 accidents?
Mhm.
And I'm assuming there was probably close to that many tickets for that, or citations?
Not necessarily, the officers are not required in all cases in an accident report to give a citation. In the state of Ohio, you don't even take an accident report now, you don't report it. If there's less than $1,000 damage on the vehicle or something of that nature, you can't tell them on every accident you will issue a citation, because that takes away their discretion, and their discretion is guaranteed by law and statute. So they're encouraged to give a citation if they can find fault. But however, if there's one little tiny, bumper to bumper markup and they take a report, they're not necessarily required to have or issue a ticket. I'd say 75%, I think, is about the number we're getting and averaging over the years on accidents. About 75% of the time somebody's cited.
Okay, so, and the majority of the rest of them would be for
Moving.
speeding or
Yes, moving violations.
all right, that's the question.
I got hit by a car last week and she was found at fault, but she didn't get a citation. It was a new one. I was kind of surprised she didn't get a citation because she knocked me down.
Maybe they didn't feel you.
Were you a pedestrian?
I was a pedestrian, yeah. The officer said she was at fault because there were witnesses that saw it. But
Just downtown or something?
crossing Main Street. Across.
When you had the right of way.
I had the white man walking sign and I was walking and she just turned
There
left
you
and
go.
knocked
That
me
white
down.
man.
Should've been a lot more.
They don't have a woman.
That's the problem. You gotta wait on the dress.
No, I'm gonna be there a long time.
Don't you know you gotta wait until they get that project done before you can walk
Well,
safely?
I have gotten packets from 7 attorneys and I was called the next day by a chiropractor, so.
Wow.
Amazing.
I'm just glad you were okay.
Yeah.
And thank you for attending the public hearing last week. And Brian, thank you for attending. It was very much appreciated.
I want to, for record, since you had mentioned there that I brought up the thing about mayor's court, especially want to get on record for those on YouTube. I wasn't suggesting that we do a mayor's court. I just wanted
I know that.
in case somebody logged on there and didn't catch the first part of the meeting. In no way was I insinuating that we have a mayor's court. Although Buckeye Lake.
That was the headline I was gonna send to
I
Ken
know,
Allen
just
when we
making
got
sure.
done, but,
Just
okay.
making sure. I'm assuming Buckeye Lake does have a mayor's court. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm not clear on who.
Do they? Buckeye Lake has a
Yeah.
mayor's
Did
court?
you get the opportunity to read that article in the with the Buckeye Lake Beacon? Read that article. Go back a couple weeks because they don't have a safety camera, a traffic camera, and but it is manned by an officer. Well, wait a minute. Maybe it was an April Fool's joke. I don't know, but they sent it to the tower, and that red flags flying, lazy boy.
Hey.
You read it?
That was Rick
Did I get burned on that one?
Loof was the one that wrote that article.
Are you serious?
Lipra.
Me and I had been driving so slow through Buckeye Lake. Okay.
Chief, you got anything else?
Come on, I'm the only guy who got.
Chief, do you need that, you need that,
I've been driving all over Buckeye Lake looking for that thing.
no,
We just can go through two.
Really?
Okay, yeah.
That's all good.
Where's it at?
Yeah, there's no rush.
Okay.
I did. I just got released. It was April 1st.
All right.
No, we're not
Anything
going
else,
till
Chief?
July. No, sir. No comment. No further comment.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn at 6:09 and move on to fire. Aren't you guys proud of your committee chair?
I'm just glad you read something.
Okay, well, the first thing I wanna do, I was sitting here looking, and it's like, those numbers aren't right. But if you'll make 2 corrections to your sheets, and it was because I did not receive my statistics from 904 when I talked to the mayor. Anyway, I'd sent it out the first time and they had just sent them to me, but I did not transfer the information. So, long story short, under 2015, for the month of March, we had 38 fire calls and for a total of 132. We had 198 EMS calls in 2015 March for a total of 513. So to change those numbers, I know.
Give me that again, Chief, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay.
So 2015's column is on the right.
2015 column on the right.
Uh-huh.
Instead of 41 and 94, that should read 38 and 132.
132.
And instead of 156 and 245, it should read 198 and 513
So EMS runs would be 198.
for the month. And a total of 513.
So them numbers backwards, cause I've got 315 here on mine.
And if you add 315 and 198, it's 513. These are just last
Yes.
month's numbers.
Right. That was actually the numbers.
Okay.
Fire Rogers, 30.
So
And the transports are correct.
okay, so under EMS for EMS runs 2015, 198.
198.
Year-to-date number is
513. 513. Yeah, those numbers, I was looking at it, it's like, why are those numbers so low? Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
Nick and
Transports
Ron, do you
aren't
want-
correct. Transports are correct, right?
You got, okay, you made a change. Transports are correct, and I had that information before I sent the first one out.
Hard to get good help these days.
And this was a revised agenda.
This was the revised. But I left your office, went back and got the statistics and did them. I got them all figured out, but I never put them on there before I sent them.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, that being said, as you can see, we're down a little bit. In some, the EMS calls are up. The transports are up considerably. 116 for the month of March was not as high as I can remember. And it's been busy. Mutual aids, 46 versus 45 received. Kind of a breakdown. 3 helicopters in.
So our helicopters, the 3 I'm assuming then are from the Blue Jay Road.
Yes, that's correct.
The 3 helicopters, I mean, is that really mutual aid? Because it's not like we can go fly a helicopter to aid them. I mean, it's kind of a one-way street, right? But that's
correct.
still considered mutual aid?
I consider it mutual aid. We're calling them in to assist us to get our patient someplace.
Okay. Okay.
That's how I look at it. Not to mention I think it's interesting information. You all, as far as.
I asked a question about the transports. Year-to-date total last month was 235, and you added 116,
Yeah.
which would be what?
That's the 2041 last
Oh,
year.
2014. Okay, I'm asleep.
Yeah, don't go down, don't.
Let me get that thing on.
It's mesmerizing.
No, I.
Chief, I have a question. On the helicopters,
Yes.
they don't charge the city of Heath for that response, correct? So therefore, it's kind of under mutual aid that they respond, because under typical mutual aid agreements, the agency that responds bears their own cost, thinking that the numbers will bear out. So thankfully, since we don't have a helicopter to fly in response to give return mutual aid, we're always receiving a service that under a mutual aid that we're getting a service for free.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that the patients,
Somebody paid for it.
It's an arm and a leg. Your insurance doesn't cover it.
Yes, it costs you. When you're beat up real bad and need a trauma center.
Well, out there.
Probably what, $13,000.
$13,000
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
for a
that's,
helicopter ride?
oh, yeah.
for a ride from there to Ohio State. I'm from out on
Yeah, Cotterman and Blue.
Cotterman, Blue Jay Road.
My parents got medical flights from El Paso, Texas to Southern California. That was after the helicopter ride, 8 weeks prior. A private medical flight.
Oh my.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Well, Ray, but, you know, a bonsai run with courtesy even, well, in the last
Sorry,
2
what?
months, bonsai.
Oh, okay.
It's wide open, fast as they can go.
Yeah, I mean, just haul the
Mail.
Stop it for
mail
nothing.
literally to Columbus from here. We don't do that because we don't have manpower. We have, you know, when you're within 5-10 minutes of a hospital, that you can at least pass them on to a higher level of care. Now, some of the Granville and Hebron and some of them, they're hauling them to Columbus automatically or whatever. But that mean old fire chief at Heath won't let them do that. And it just, to me, it just makes perfect sense. I've checked the trauma services and they, you know. But that being said, back in the last month and a half, snow, last time we had heavy snow, we got mutual aided out on the freeway with Licking Township. They had a critical patient that needed to go to Columbus, and our squad did transport from Interstate 70 Bonsai into Grant Medical Center. Now, I don't know what, you know, we get so much a loaded mile, and I have no idea if my life depended on it, what that runs, but that wouldn't be
Is it 12
real
bucks?
cheap either.
$12 a mile.
It's certainly helpful, wouldn't be 12,000, 13,000.
No. But
That's a lot of money.
and that's something that we have to think about. I've had people that were really busted up bad that begged us not to call the helicopter because they can't afford it. And it's like, you truly need this, and don't worry about the cost. I mean, there are
Other ways of getting that done.
The time situation doesn't play out for our response, is what you're saying. It's so much quicker to get the helicopter here and get them there versus someone who's maybe a little
Yeah.
closer to Columbus to drive
ultimately,
direct.
you're looking at that golden hour.
Yep.
As far as traumas, and you want to get them from the time of the injury to a level 1 trauma center where they can get them into surgery. By getting them there within that first 60 minutes, the mortality rate drops dramatically, and the longer they're from that type of a care facility, which is staffed with, you know, various multifunctional physicians or whatever, that's a bad definition. But anyway, sometimes, you know, it just makes sense to fly, but we don't fly unnecessarily. But it's hard sometimes because our training, we have certain criteria. If somebody falls more than 10 feet, or, you know, depending on the mechanism of injury, it warrants like Columbus, but sometimes they turn around and they discharge them, and shortly after they arrive, they're live. And I mentioned the Blue Jay run, we'll talk about that at the very end of the stuff, but statistically, we gave 46, received 45, so that's good. I have a legislative request that's going to be going to requesting, we did receive our EWC grant for the power lift cots. We have received our 40,000 from the Bureau of Workers' Comp. I said it right. And I need to pull 42,984 out of Fire Levy 1 fund so we can purchase those cots. So this is a legislative request. We have, from the time of receiving the funding, we have 90 days to implement these cots and such. So I'm asking that we waive the second reading. So there's,
Chief, was it Worth that put together the grant application for?
Ron Worth and myself tag teamed on this one. So, yeah,
How many cots are we getting?
getting 2 systems.
Load
That's a
system,
loading system as
And
well
the
as
cot.
the 2 power cots.
one loading system?
No, two.
Two loaders.
Two
One in
loading
each of
systems,
the, one in each of the everyday squads that we
and
use.
two cots from Stryker. Does anybody have any questions for the chief on this? Doug, you good? Mayor, you good?
Yeah, we're gonna need to have this voted on next week because there is a time limit on us actually using the money. So we need to speed up the process of being able to have the money freed up.
We have to declare emergency to do
Doesn't matter. 30 days. I mean, we can.
that? Don't need to.
We'll just do it that way.
So these big
Declare
people worry
emergency
about us
immediately.
buying those cots.
I'm sorry, what?
Just amend the rules and declare emergency.
Yes. Yes,
Whoa.
Rather than
I'm
waive,
sorry, what's that,
suspend the
please?
rules.
I
yes.
said, I think the word got out, some of these big people are moving to Heath.
Doesn't that have to
I
be
run into a
written
couple of them on the program.
Just say to declare an emergency or something on there, just say declare emergency.
Well,
Put in there, declare emergency.
It does say it, doesn't it, chief? You
Yeah,
do have
it
in
should
there.
say, requesting it, waive second read on that. And I know I put it on.
But it doesn't say declare.
Change from waive to say
No.
range to say to declare emergency. That way we suspend the rules. declare
Oh,
emergency.
it says on to waive the second reading.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that either. It says it on his agenda,
Oh, but it doesn't
but
say
not
on
on the
the.
legislation. So
How does it,
we need to, on the legislation, you have to declare.
Let me see it, bro.
Just-
okay.
I mean, we don't have, on the, I mean, when we get the ordinance, we can
I just
go
wanna make
ahead
sure
and
it works.
suspend the rules and
Declare.
declare it anyway, whether it says it or not. We
Okay,
can
it
do
doesn't have to
ourselves.
say it.
Well,
It doesn't have to say it.
We
to
have,
do it.
we have in here the reason, if emergency state reason, we have in there the
Okay,
reason.
so,
Oh, okay.
okay, gotcha. All right, I didn't read that.
I haven't
just
seen
read-
it. I haven't.
Okay,
Does it say waive
Okay.
second?
Uh,
I know it does on my
Doesn't-
agenda.
no, it
doesn't matter.
doesn't say,
since you-
but we have in here the reason why we're wanting to declare the emergency.
And that was done.
Brian, if you just remember, next week, Monday night, just say, you know, or suspend the
Suspend the
rules.
rules.
Yeah.
Declare an
That way the funds are available.
That way, when it's passed and signed by the mayor, it becomes effective immediately, and you don't have to worry about a referendum or anything like that, or have stuff that they can use the funds.
Okay.
And how does that, you just mentioned 30 days before.
Well, if you don't
Not if we
declare
do
an
Well,
emergency.
some things don't become effective until 30 days after he signs it.
Yeah.
If you declare emergency, it becomes immediately after he signs it, so you don't have to wait 30 days. So you gain 30 days or 29 days, or however you want to describe it,
So if it's
Over.
approved Monday night, I can contact Stryker.
the next day.
The next day. And
Yes.
order this.
So if you
Yeah.
don't declare an
Yes.
emergency, suspend the rules and declare an emergency, you gotta wait 30 days for your
If it's
final.
voted on, if it's
Final
voted on
rights,
and
right.
approved Monday, then you have the money available to move forward.
Very good.
Yes.
You could still call them, but the money won't be available for 30 days if you didn't declare an emergency. And I understand that.
All right, yeah. Very good, so thank you. And okay. Monthly report,
I may not be here Monday.
2014 versus 15, wages are about the same, 18.
Hold on one second. What'd you just say?
I may not be here Monday night,
Because Dick Morrow is not gonna be here Monday either.
I may not be here Monday.
Do we need 5?
You need 5.
You
You
need
need 5
to
to wait, suspend, rate,
Uh-huh.
5.
Then we need to make sure that Jeff's here.
You need to make sure Jeff's here. If Dick's not gonna be here for sure. Yeah.
Dick's gonna leave on Monday to start the trek back. I talked to Jay today.
Oh, okay.
Dick's gonna leave on Monday to start the road back. He'll be here for his utilities committee meeting the following Monday. He won't, he
Maybe
starts
for the council meeting.
on this coming, a week from today, he starts coming
They
back.
told me to be in here Tuesday or Wednesday.
It'll probably be Wednesday.
Yeah.
Are we all gonna be here? Just might as well clear them now. You'll be here Monday, you'll be here. Okay, so we just gotta make sure
We'll
Jeff's
make
gonna be
sure
here.
Jeff's-
Unless I need to buy another car.
Yeah,
Then
huh?
I'm not coming.
I plan on being here. Okay.
Well, at least make sure they bump you in the direction of City Hall.
Okay,
So-
well, they did bump me kind of in the direction of City Hall, just not the right one.
Hey, Chief, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. March 2015 wages and overtime, total overtime for the year. You can see compared to 14, we are down considerably. Tower 10 was repaired, it cost them about $5,600 to do the ball joints and such. There was a little bit of ladder repair there too, lubrication and such. The rescue committee is still, of course, working on the replacement for the rescue truck. We do have a meeting this Wednesday, the 15th at 1. I did say something to Brian. Hopefully the mayor's coming, and
Wednesday at 1.
Wednesday at 1, and
Who we meeting with, sorry, Chief?
it'll be
The committee that's looking to,
truck
for the
committee
rescue
and a
truck?
representative from Pierce.
Pierce, that's what I was trying to
Andy
figure out.
Carlo, and probably Mark Weekly. So you'll have more of a detail. Air evac has started as of last Wednesday night, monthly trainings that are counted for continuing ed. I mentioned that the month before, but it actually has been implemented. And we're allowing surrounding departments to come in and reap the benefits of having training in-house. Several of us go up to Newton Township once a month on their Thursday night training and get continuing education hours. So fire company and whoever else wishes to come in is
Good.
So yeah, it's good. Ralph Swick, who after the first year took over as a training officer for the department, is working with the fire academy. They've got some kind of would be the first time it's been used. If we can get 3 departments to participate in June, it's a fire prop trailer that they can actually do live fire training in. That's something brand new that they've got. So he's working on getting that in here. We'd have it for a Saturday, Sunday, and we can only do about 25 people a time, but as long as we get, and we've already got 3 departments that have indicated. So, don't know much about it other than that, but it's kind of neat. Fire Academy's got a confined space, a grain bin type system that they pull around and for teaching how to get people that are sucked into grain elevators and things like that. There's a device that can use. So anyway, there's
Really?
some really neat props that.
Wow. How often do you come across something like that?
Are you being,
I mean,
It happened out near Hebron in,
yeah, July, 4th of July,
2007, 7.
somebody's inside a grain elevator and then fell down into the grain.
matter of fact, good friends
He
with,
died.
with the Geller, Kim and Johnny Geller.
Really?
They
Oh,
knew
yeah.
him through their.
Well, you
Heart
suffocate
Fair.
probably, I
Yep.
guess. Or something.
Yeah.
Got in, you get a crust form sometimes in certain grain elevators or silage, depending on how you want to pronounce it, but they'll get in, and of course it's auger driven from the bottom and all. You get in and you walk around on it, or you stomp on it trying to break that crust, and you go through and it just envelops.
Like quicksand.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And
Wow.
they suck you
Only
in.
quicker than that.
And
just
it was
sucked.
I was on that scene that day, and all, and it took quite a while to get them out, and but yeah, the boy.
He
What
wasn't
on
very
earth
old.
would? How on earth would you? Boy, that'd be very interesting to understand how you'd respond to an incident like that, because it wouldn't take long for you to
No.
suffocate in a situation
Doesn't.
like that.
When you think, I mean, of course, right out here at Hebron, hey, they would probably utilize, if we had somebody in top side, utilize our ladder to access some of those areas out here at the grain and tracks. We've got them all over the place. I mean, we deal with grain bin fires at times.
So in a situation like that, is there much hope, or is it more just a recovery type thing?
It's just like somewhat like a trench rescue. Sometimes there is hope, and depending on, if they're totally covered, it just places and they're smothered.
No air.
You can't take it. And not only no air, you just can't get a breath because it just fills right in around you. But there have been, but there's panels that you can position, and then they're starting to equip some of the surrounding departments with some of this stuff that you slide them down around the person, and then you take a vacuum cleaner,
Oh, to get the stuff up out of the
grain or whatever around the patient, and you interlock these things. And basically, our confined space rescue unit before these devices came out, we just took 55-gallon drums, cut the bottoms out of them, and you would do the same thing. And you could do the same thing in sand piles, things like that. Doesn't have to be in a. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. There's a lot of neat physics. Our back truck would be beneficial. Anyway,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, the wastewater plant's back truck.
especially on trench rescues.
What would be really cool is if we could do anything we want with technology, but if there were just those things are built in panels and sections. I mean, it would cost a lot more money to build these silos, but if you just had quick release panels, two sides something, maybe they just open up and whatever,
Dump
whoever, they're
everything
dumping
out.
it, they're going. I mean, it would be an expense, but it could be done, there's no doubt.
A friend of mine down across from Tennessee, he works for a bakery. And they tried to describe it to me. 8 feet across the back, you know, where they mix stuff. And he got knocked into that thing. And there was no way to shut those things off. And it beat him to death in there.
Oh,
And I said, that's dumb. Why didn't you have them quit, you know, throw a switch or something? Yeah, he was a heck of a nice guy. Boy, he sure got beat to death with them beavers.
Under old business, I talked about Wi-Fi. Did you want to elaborate on that, Mayor?
go ahead.
We met with, and as I had mentioned, we're very limited on the amount of total information that we get through City Hall. The city is are you still in negotiations?
I don't know if it's negotiations or if we're in a holding pattern waiting on them to get squared away, but we're in the process of trying to perhaps purchase additional bandwidth. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Bandwidth, which if we allocate some over to the fire side, would help open up the information pipe that would, in theory, solve a lot of these issues that they have with their Wi-Fi. I'd say over the past 5 years or so, we've increased quite a bit the equipment that we have there that utilizes that capability. And so if you don't expand the pipe, but you're expanding what's coming in and coming through the pipe, you get a log jam. And that's what I think what we're kind of suffering through sometimes is just very slow.
10 total meg citywide coming through here, and then it was being split up. And for less money, we can get 100. Now, wasn't that the?
That was the number I saw. I want to see it.
We have not. Has he ever gotten back to you? He was supposed to do research and get back to you.
Not to my knowledge.
Time Warner's rep was supposed to get back with us about the actual true state of Ohio pricing on bids that they have now.
Yeah, and they were waiting to have that process finalized to see whether or not they were getting the bid.
Right, but they wanted to see where the new bids were coming in, but he should be able to tell us what the old bid was.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of what we thought we were looking at. And he says, "Oh, that doesn't sound right." So,
Does anybody franchise fees? That was the thing I was talking about. The city had waived at one time, and that's what you guys
the
are
Time
doing.
Warner cable.
The Time Warner cable back during Mayor Duff's.
They were still on the bill.
Yeah.
I spoke with Mayor Dubs about franchise fees.
But the city waived something, and
Yeah.
so they're collecting.
They might still be on the bill, but we might not be getting it.
Yeah.
The thing is, we could put a fee on for them, the franchise fee, the city could put it on. All they would do is tack that on to the customer. And so if we said, as a city, we wanted $5, well, they just tack on $5 to every customer and everything. And so essentially we'd be taxing, and we just never thought it was fair to do that, to pass it on that way and stuff.
What you did.
And of course, supposed to get the channel 20 and Norcat channel 19 and stuff. I don't even have the cable anymore, so I don't know how many people actually have capable of even getting some of them channels. But we gave that channel the school actually uses that
Oh, it's
channel,
there.
but it's hard,
It's there.
But it's there, but you know what I'm saying, it's, you know, but we don't use it. It's
I'd
a
rather
city.
the
It's not-
franchise fee portion or whatever would be any kind of a bargaining chip with the cable. I just remember,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the details.
Yeah.
Um,
No, essentially, because they just waive it.
You okay?
Charlie horse or?
We're at no grant.
Oh, God. Damn. Oh,
In what, your leg?
oh, God. Oh. Can you walk?
What?
Don't fall over.
You okay?
Basically,
Tonight's video
we good.
Yeah, must see TV.
Could have advertised it for Doe's School.
Has anybody seen what Chattanooga has done with their, internet? The city provided internet, high-speed internet, and it's faster than, I guess, anywhere in Tennessee, or most of the country, and it's way cheaper than what? You said something about 10 megabytes a second, what you got, or something?
Yeah.
That's the bandwidth
Yeah.
that we purchase.
Quite a few
I've
years
got-
ago, Licking County was looking at something, there was some group, 'cause I was on a committee, they were trying to look at having countywide Wi-Fi available, and I don't know whatever happened with that, because the committee kind of went away, but, you know, that would be great if that were service that were.
I gotta tell you that we looked into that with Richard Wall when he was mayor, and we sat down with a few companies, talked about getting into that situation. Basically, what you do is you become your own internet service provider. You still have to purchase that from someone, but you have, as a utility available to everybody that's in the city, you can make your city internet available to everyone. But the initial startup cost for the equipment that you would need to do that is prohibitive. It's not inexpensive. It's a major investment for a city to go into basically being a utility provider or adding a utility as internet service to your people. It's a significant amount of infrastructure that you have to purchase going forward in order to make that available.
Maybe since Chattanooga's much bigger than Heath, that there's an economy of scale where it,
You okay?
It's a pretty massive undertaking.
Second one in 2 days.
So anyway, we're checking into that, and I just bring that back to your attention. Mark's radios, I mentioned before, are in service with the walkies. We're actually incorporating them in, and when we go to Newark, when we go to Granville, we're, instead of having them patch us through on Mark's via VHF, we're utilizing the Mark's radios to talk directly to, and it's okay. I'm still not sold on Mark's radios and the clarity and such. Under new business, garage door accident, we had an incident with one of our garage doors that was open. One of our guys had a vehicle that he was cleaning up after hours, and went to pull out and opened the door, and it went clear up and stopped, and he walked around and got in his truck. As he started to back up, the door actually dropped back down on its own, not under power. The springs were not right, it dropped down just at eye level and onto the roof of his pickup truck. It did $1,900 worth of damage to it. So it was great coil. And, so anyway, we've had that door looked at, and they actually were in today and installed a brake. There's a magnetic brake type deal, and we will probably, as soon as I get a price tag on that, because they came, I had them come back in and they went through and they said it's just the springs. Our doors are so heavy with all the glass and such, and just wear and tear on the garage door openers. They recommended these magnetic brakes that lock them in and hold them into place. 7 out of 8 of the doors actually did drift down in one way, shape, or form a little bit. Wow. But did not come down. They called me in, this was on a Sunday, I went in and I several times did it. And same thing, the door goes up, and as soon as the micro switch shuts it off, it just started and it slowly drifted down and it would come down. I call it past the threshold, but down and dropped just about half of the opening height or whatever, and that's what happened that day. So we have to come in and retorque the springs, and of course garage door people with the weight of the doors and the torsional springs. If you try tweaking them too much, you're gonna wear service life of the springs are gonna, anyway, we're checking into this braking system on our doors.
I mean, there's a garage door opener, right?
Yes,
Is it chain driven, but how's
the
the,
chain driven.
so in other words, it had to reverse backwards, I mean, the sprocket of the motor to go backwards on it, right?
They're claiming that the motors and such are just
Do we need a better?
wear and tear and all, but they kind of, I don't know whether there's a built-in clutch, because we don't have a problem. We have a newer garage door unit that was installed, and there's no drift and nothing, but
See, like,
the rest of them.
the garage door opener at my home has a little rope thing that hangs down from,
Right.
and I can either lock it or unlock it onto the, what is basically like the big screw.
Right.
And so, if it's locked on there, for it to come down would mean that the screw would have to be turning, allowing it, at the same time as it's going down. Is that the kind of system that we have?
These are a chain driven.
Chain with the sprocket.
Oh,
Sprocket motors.
Okay.
And so the weight of the door is pulling, and of course my question is, why don't they just retorque those big screws or springs, and you've got one for the up mode, one for the down mode or whatever. These doors are extremely heavy, and this was the solution that they gave us, but they just said that they're just slowly getting tired, and it's a problem.
Okay.
So we had not noticed, I've never noticed one do that until the day of the accident. Better his truck than one of the fire trucks or whatever, because it could have been a lot more money. Greg doesn't think that's the case, because he's a perfectionist with his pickup truck. Anyway, under personnel, Roger Baker is back to work. He was the one that fell and had some broken ribs. Dave Love is off through the 16th. He wrenched his back, and Ryan Cox is off with a medical issue right now, and we're working towards getting him back. And under other, is there any questions pertaining to the Blue Jay Road accident that was such a horrific deal? I know.
Has anybody heard anything about the 3 involved? How are they?
The mother was released very quickly. Dad was within a day or two trying to contact Heath Police to get his car back.
He's still trying to get his car back.
Get his car
back.
He wants the motor.
He wants the motor.
He wants the motor, is what he's concerned about.
Is he
It's a
able to walk or move? Somebody said he had a broken neck.
He had some,
Significant issues is what I heard. His neck and his back.
Well, he's able to talk on the phone and call us repeatedly, so he's not doing
Okay.
the boy had some facial trauma, broken bones in the face, some abdominal abrasions and things, multiple pins in both legs. Dad and the boy were ejected. When our first medic pulled up, which was Amy Jones and Bob Kozlowski, Mom was sitting along the road with a blanket, and Dad was over across the street. It looks like they went off quite a distance, high rate of speed, slide, got into that concrete, and the car just kind of exploded into Now, I have personally never seen an accident of that severity that there weren't fatalities.
How fast do you think he was going?
No idea.
110?
The State Patrol has got that in their hands and they're doing a reconstruction of it.
I
No,
can
I wouldn't
say,
say 100.
Huh? You don't think he was going 100? When he hit that thing, went airborne?
Jay,
He was sliding sideways in the yaw. I
Oh,
couldn't
okay.
guess, but I don't
Yeah.
think he was doing 100.
my
He had been
guys
doing
indicated
100. There's been a lot.
the speedometer
They'd
on
have
the
flown a lot.
car would have only gone to, is it possible it could have only gone to 85?
Yes.
Yeah, true.
They're in that time
The
frame.
speedometer, the vehicle was at Jay's. The crew went up to see that recently, and the speedometer was pegged at 85 plus, and the tachometer is pegged at 6,500.
Oh, man.
So I gotta tell you, that doesn't mean anything.
No.
Because they were the engine's totally disconnected from that part of the car. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
But they were
And
just
I've
commenting
seen
on
other vehicles where the speedometer and the tach's been pegged all the way, and when they do the assessment or the reconstruction, it's not nearly what it was, but
Obviously, he wasn't doing the speed limit.
he was well over 35.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's injured, the car is, they thought they had multiple vehicles involved because of
Just two
the
pieces.
debris and such. Mom's over here, they got a blanket over her, of course, bystander, my understanding was somebody
They helped
helped her out of the back
seat.
seat. She was very fortunate that she wasn't hurt worse than she was, but she had her son in her lap, but had a blanket over him, and so as they're trying to triage the scene, they turn around and the father had said, how about the boy? What boy? And they went back to the mom. The mom unwrapped him, and of course he took the worst of it.
Yeah.
And all, but the 3 helicopters, it was fascinating to listen to it on the radio. The crews did a great job. Duty, the mutual aid coming in, Captain Miller, he just had a calming effect on that accident once he got on the scene, and it was just, and the system worked. I mean, the police, the fire, Newark, Ben Franklin School was in very close proximity, and they, of course, air evac out of St. Louisville, out of Pleasantville, and MedFlight was called, so they had 3 helicopters in very quickly, and of course, all 3 got a ride. Think of that, Bill.
Wow.
But, and they all survived. And I guess the little boy has been on Facebook, from what my crews told me, knocked all his front teeth out or whatever, but very fortunate, all of them to be alive.
How old was the boy?
8 years old.
I was not on that. Kent Mallett called me, I was out at the lake, and it's like, Kent, I'm not there, I'm listening to it on a walkie-talkie, and I said, all I can tell you is they got dispatched on a car versus pole, and of course, then he quotes me in the paper like I was there. But
Yeah.
wasn't the case, but very, very fortunate, and as I said, the system worked, our people worked well together, mutual aid and all, and it was just,
The people
we
are very
dodged
lucky.
it. The people are extremely lucky, grace of God was with them too, because it just, a horrific accident, they all survived, so.
And he's worried about his engine.
Oh, I didn't know if he's worried about it. He wants it
He
back.
wants it back.
Sorry for the mistake, but that's all that's all I have, any questions?
Any questions for the chief? Okay, we will adjourn at 6:48.
Chief, what,
Yes,
kind of